So I've got a bit of a confession to make. I, James Mackay, am a coffee snob. Now, what does that mean? It means that I can be so rude sometimes, I can go around someone's house or receive one into my house and they offer to make me a cup of tea or coffee, and the first look on my face is that coffee instant? And if they go yes, I'm like, tea please. I'd lived in Rome for 8 years and never really drunk coffee before that, but got used to the Roman ways, the perfect espressos coming out of the great machines. It was something I grew to love. I couldn't live without coffee in the morning, but it had to be top quality. And then I come back to this country and it's Nescafe. I'm like, what's that about? So I'm always on the search for the perfect coffee. At Christmas, my family decided to buy me one of these newfangled Nespresso machines. You know the George Clooney adverts? You know, what else? All that kind of thing. So I got my Nespresso machine and I approved. You get the coffee in capsules and it goes in, it's compressed out, and it delivers quite a good espresso. So now I get to have espresso every single day, and I'm not paying £3 like you do in the shops. It's like 30p. So at Christmas, after Christmas Day, I take my usual kind of half holiday when I'm at the church, but at my mum's most of the time. And when I'm away, I don't usually shave or wear the collar. I'm normally in kind of pajama mode, sort of wearing shorts and just relaxing. So I need to buy these capsules so I can replenish my supply. So I look around on Google and I find that there's a Nespresso boutique in Westfield in Stratford. So I think, well, I'll go down to this boutique and buy some more capsules. Now, as a male shopper particularly, I normally go out already knowing what I want to get to the shop, to grab and then leave. And that was the attitude I took when I went to this Nespresso boutique. I walked in thinking I'll just grab a tube of capsules and then I'll be off. But it wasn't to be the case. I get to this boutique and I come to the door and there is Adele standing on the door. Nice uniform, quite pretty. Says, "Hello, Merry Christmas. How are you? What's your name?" I'm like, and you know, you look around, you think, is she talking to me? I'm like, you know, unshaven and wearing half my pajamas. And I said, "Oh, I'm James." She said, "Well, welcome, James. Can I make you a cup of coffee?" So she takes me to this bar, beautifully sparse, lovely. And then at the desk at this bar, there is, let's say, Clarice. I forget her name. Again, pretty, well-dressed, nice hat. And she said, "What can I help you to?" She said, "Why don't you try our new range of India capsules?" She told me the history of how the bean was plucked and everything like this. I'm like, well, I don't mind if I do. Let's have a coffee. So I sit down. I'm treated to this lovely coffee. And at the end of the experience, I'd had 3 cups of espresso. That was nearly 10 quids worth of espresso, and I got it for free. And I was loving life. I was chatting to these ladies. I felt like a connoisseur of coffee. I'd become George Clooney in this moment. So there I was, feeling quite suave, full of coffee, full of caffeine. And then Adele says, "Are you pleased with the selections?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am actually." She said, "Why don't you come along and we can purchase some of those selections?" I'm like, "Well, I will." So I went to the desk, and you know, normally you pay contactless and you do it on a kind of a clunky machine. Not in the Nespresso boutique. It was a glass panel on a desk with the N brand, the Nespresso brand there. So it was very easy to pick up all the different things that they'd sold me, just swipe my card. I got a lovely bag, and I walked out of this shop as George Clooney. I felt great. It's only when I looked in the mirror and I got home and I thought, nah, I'm not. That was an experience. I'd gone to that shop feeling kind of like, meh, like that, and I came out feeling great. And all I'd done was buy coffee. At best, an average product for a good cup of coffee. I'd walked out with that. I'd spent much more money than I'd planned to spend when I went in the shop. But the experience, the feeling they gave me, helped me to get to that place. I felt great. That was coffee. Now, think about the product that we as a church, if we want to put it in those terms, have. When we come to the celebration of Mass, we come to receive our Lord in His Word and His sacrament. We don't come to drink coffee. We come to consume the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, our God. This, not just a product, the gift of God's very own life to us. Now that is something to feel great about. That is something to feel wonderful about. Those ladies made me feel great about a cup of coffee. How much more so do we deserve and need to feel great about the one we're going to receive as we come to the door of not the boutique, but of God's church? How much more do we deserve to feel close to the one we love by the people that we are close to in the congregation, by the smiles on our faces, by the quality of welcome we receive? How much more in the spirit of celebration, once we've received and we are ready to go out into the world, does that need to feel good for the feeling to correspond to the reality? Because the reality is we receive God with us. And that's how it should feel. As a community, we can all work individually and personally on making one another feel great about the one we are to receive. Not the product, but the person of our Lord Jesus Christ. And for us as a community on Sunday, as well as the other hours of our week, that begins not in here, not even at the door, but out in the car park when we greet one another. So we're going to try just a little exercise just to get ourselves thinking a bit outside the box. As your parish priest, actually this is on camera, so I have to be careful that the church authorities aren't watching. But I think I'm allowed to move the sign of peace. Now, normally the sign of peace happens towards the end of the Eucharistic prayer. We're going to move it forward to now, but with a bit of a difference. Most of us come to church and we sit in our familiar spots, which is completely understandable. I have a familiar spot every week, it's over there. And we're surrounded by family and people we know. But this sign of peace, what we're going to try and do is stand up and find someone in the church who we don't know, who we don't recognize. And just simply introduce ourselves. Peace be with you. I'm James. What's your name? Yeah? Do you think we can do that? The Lord be with you. Let's offer each other a sign of peace.